And senior logistics startup Ofload has acquired the Melbourne freight specialist CIA Logistics as part of an ambitious growth strategy to expand its offering and national footprint. To tell us more about those plans, Ofload founder and CEO Geoffroy Henry joins me now. Geoffroy, great to have you on the show. Congrats. M&A is not always the easiest of acquisitions, but tell us a little bit about yours. How did it come about?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, Simon, for having me. And yeah, I mean, it is not the easiest thing to do, but in that case, it was something obvious for us to do. We've been working with CIA Logistics for the past few months, and we were aligned on the pain points to solve, aligned on the path forward to how to solve them. And we knew that the level of synergies we had made a lot of sense for us to acquire them. They have a great team that will complement ours very well. So it just happened around the course of the last few months, and yeah, we finally finalized the deal a few days back.
It is kind of interesting though. Here you are, a new startup. I think you did a Series A raise last year. They've been around for about 35 years. Tell us a little bit about those synergies that the two companies saw.
I mean, this is a great point, right? First of all, any kind of merger involves a post-merger integration that is extremely sensitive, especially when cultures can be different. And there are ways of working that are different between a company that is 2.5 years old like ours and a company that is well established with a strong level of experience in the market. But we for now, I think actually our teams complement each other. I think both of them has the hunger to drive change. And that is probably what we anchor as being the things that we share the most. And from there, we just need to adapt each other to the ways of working. And for sure, there's a lot of tools that needs to be implemented on one side more than the other. But that is going very smoothly, and we are already seeing the result of the synergies that we had forecasted.
Now, let's take a step back and just explain to our viewers Ofload and the problem it is solving, because in some ways it's kind of improving the profitability for the freight and transport industry, but it's also having an environmental impact as well.
I mean, absolutely. The pain points that we're solving for in the supply chain industry are multiples, right, and very diverse. And there are, of course, the operational pain points that drives margin going down, which of course is the fact that 30% of the trucks drive empty. Like 1 day out of 2 almost, they are idle. 50% of the time they're just waiting for work. And that the long tail actually doesn't have access to contracted and recurring freight. And so we are the technology partner that kind of aggregates the long tail together and finds algorithms and tools to coordinate the market in such a way that reduces inefficiency. And one of the major output of that is, yes, increased profitability for the trucking companies and reduced cost for our shippers and the biggest FMCG players. But also the fact that by tackling empty miles, we reduce carbon footprint. And Simon, I think last time, I think it was in January, we had the opportunity to talk about the fact that the supply chain industry is the third biggest industry in terms of carbon emission. And if we know that 30% of the time trucks drive empty, there's something big to solve here that has significant output in terms of reducing carbon emission. And this is a journey we're on that is extremely exciting. And this is something that we're already delivering for our customers. And this is one of the major kind of part of our aspects of our vision that we're focusing on.
Absolutely, and hopefully it can make freight a little bit cheaper for us consumers, try to move things around in the process as well. Geoffroy, tell us a little bit about your ambitions with this merger. I think it takes you to about 120 staff, of course, a whole bunch of different locations. You're becoming a national company as a consequence.
We are, and I think that we're not going to settle on that, right? We have a lot of exciting things ahead of us. We've seen a 500% growth year on year, excluding that inorganic acquisition. We've built an internal M&A team that will support an inorganic growth strategy, and we expect to do a number of deals in the years to come. We expect to continue our 500% growth in the years to come as well. So being national is a milestone. It's not our North Star neither, right? We have a clear ambition, which is to take over and to provide value to the entire industry, and it is a 65 billion worth of industry. So we have a long way ahead of us, but we are hitting and kicking goals. Super happy about that. And we do have 120 super talented people, and we'll be recruiting dozens more in the times to come, very much going against the current of the markets and what people talk as being a downturn.
Geoffroy, I do want to ask you, how do you think about your startup in terms of it's this hybrid model? You know, often they're all software company delivering software as a service. You do that, but then that logistics site is very physical. There are trucks, there are people driving them. You've got these two different sides to deal with. How do you think about tackling that and scale?
First of all, great question. And it is a challenge, right? And I think that it is because we are hybrid and we do both, that we can actually fully understand what we're solving for, right? We're not just a tech company behind screens knowing nothing about freight and being very kind of obnoxious about the industry, thinking that it's easy to solve. It is extremely challenging. People has been working on it for dozens and dozens of years, right? It is a pillar of any economy. And the only way to truly solve it is if you actually get involved, if you actually support the trucking companies, if you actually have a multi-layered approach to how to solve for it. Yes, you build the algorithms. Yes, you build the technology, but then you also need to get involved in the operational aspect and in the customer service aspect to ensure that the things you build and the tools you build have a high penetration and traction, but also that they are supported by people internally to push for them.
I have to say, Lindsay Fox has done okay out of the trucking business over the years. Can we see a time when Henry is on every truck running around Australia and you're one of our unicorn billionaires as well?
I mean, while the outcome is not something I would be unhappy about, it's not a goal. I would rather help businesses to be those success and to support the trucking companies in the long tail having those successes, because through their success, I will have one myself. The output is truly to improve the industry and to focus on enabling and helping the trucking companies more than just focusing on ourselves. I think we have a big mission ahead. Let's not forget that we are serving an industry, and yes, through that we can have successes ourselves, but we need to first guarantee that our clients and our suppliers win through our services.